imagine how, if you feel as strongly about this issue as those in Greenpeace do, they have that rising panic about the climate disaster, the climate emergency. And then imagine you see the Prime Minister, your Prime Minister, probably in search of a few votes, let's face it, starting to make loud anti-green noises and then granting 100 licences for fossil fuel exploration in the North Sea. Thus, slamming the nation's foot on the accelerator, which is taking us, they believe, ever faster towards climate disaster. So they want to protest about this, right? OK, we agree. Most of us agree they have a right to protest. They want to draw the nation's attention to it. And what options do they have, really? They need to be eye-catching. They need to grab the attention of the press, which obviously loves big pictures and spectaculars. They need to be peaceful. And I think with this stunt, they achieved all that. They took care to do it while Rishi Sunak and his family were away on holiday. And Will McCallum, who is Greenpeace's co-executive director, said, the action we took was entirely peaceful. We were diligent in our approach to safety and ensured that no one was home. It's reasonable, isn't it? How could they be blacklisted from dealing with the government for this? I think it's wrong.
I'm pro Greenpeace and pro all this activists, but they've just crossed the line for me. You do not go to somebody's home, and anyone that's been burgled will feel like this. You violated a safe home space. That's totally wrong. How would they feel if they had whoever disagrees with them, they went and sat on the roof of their houses? You don't go to somebody's house. I don't care if it's the Prime Minister or if it's a tiny little person like me. You just don't violate somebody's space in that way. They've got children. I've got children. Now, if those children felt like, oh, my God, somebody's been here and they can come at any time they want, it doesn't matter they weren't at home. This is your home. You cannot do this.
But, Jay, you say they'd violated the home. I take that point, but they didn't go inside it, did they? They weren't rifling through the underwear drawers and all those things that we associate with a real violation. I think if someone had been in my garden, I wouldn't like it very much. But, they weren't inside the home and it was a stunt. It didn't happen covertly in a sort of scary way.
No, I don't agree. If it was offices, it's a different thing, but not somebody's house. If you've got small children, they get an inkling of this, they're not going to feel safe. If they find out, oh, somebody's been here, mum and dad are really worried about it now, and they're, looking at security, just have some empathy for the person living in that house. It's wrong. Yes, protest by all means, and I'm pro them, but they've crossed a line here. You don't go anywhere near somebody's home. Is that an open call for everybody else to do that? If you don't agree with somebody's political views, you can go and sit on their roof when they're on holiday. Is that okay?
I think it's because the Prime Minister is obviously a high-profile person. I think no one's suggesting that this would set a precedent where it's okay to sit on someone else's roof. But the thing is, Jay, you say you're all for Greenpeace, but how can they make an impact if, I actually make a distinction between Greenpeace and Just Stop Oil, because so many things Just Stop Oil have done have made my blood boil, and they're stopping people from getting to a hospital and so on, when they are, causing criminal damage to buildings and so on. But I think actually this was that it's not so scary in terms of the family because they only did it because the family were away.
So if you aired a political view now, and I totally passionately disagreed with it, can I come and protest outside your house and sit on your roof?
Well, I think the point is that I'm not a high-profile individual.
Yeah, I mean, Greenpeace have been about for years. So they're very experienced. They know what they're doing. I think they've made a really important message, and certainly the people like me that woke up and read and heard that they'd been on his roof, wouldn't everybody like to stand on his roof at some point after what's been going on over the last few years? To me, it's sent a very polite message to him that people can actually get near him. 2 hours for the police to turn up, I think that's pretty good. You wouldn't have got that round our way in anybody's house for a burglary.
Jay was making the point that whether you're the Prime Minister or the man on the street, your home is your sanctuary, and that actually shouldn't be breached. What do you think of that?
I think that's a very fair point, but Greenpeace have done their job for me anyway. It made me smile. No one got hurt. Nothing got damaged. It could have been a lot worse, and I think if a lot more people in this country had been up on the roof, there would have been a hell of a lot more damage done and stuff.
But David, on the point then, speaking of the government, do you disagree then with the government's decision to ban Greenpeace from meetings because of this stunt?
I think it's a little bit cowardly. I think it's not that it's going to really do much anyway. I don't think, other than it just all adds to the deceit and what this government's all about and what it portrays itself as.
Oh, I'm for Greenpeace. Don't be mistaken with me. I'm in Grimsby, but I'm a Scotsman. I've been living here for several years. And I do agree with the word sinister when you're talking about the government. They appear to want to pass a law against anything that they really don't like. You can actually see that from the unions. You know what's been going on lately. They actually try to outsit the unions. I think that the government, in a way, is heading... I don't think they're clever enough to do this, but I get the impression over the years we're getting more into a dystopian society. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all these things are coming down from the government. As far as I'm concerned with climate change, I can go a little further than that one with the government. The Prime Minister and the Secretary of State for Scotland were up in Aberdeen to announce these 100 new licences. Now, I don't know if you know that area, but it's a fight to the death as far as elections are concerned between the Tories and the SNP. So you know why they were up there, apart from anything else, but that's never been mentioned. Up in that area, it's distributed. The fight is not between Labour and the Conservatives, it's between the Conservatives and SNP, and they'll do... That is a corner where it's a contest all the time, but it's never been mentioned in the general press. But I mean, they have these ideas, you know, where shall we go to try and get some votes? Because remember, at the last general election, the Tories actually lost seats in Scotland, although they had a huge majority down here. I'm sorry, I deviate slightly, but it's all part of the big picture as far as this government's concerned.
And Derek, do you think, you know, because it was a surprising decision, wasn't it, the North Sea oil and gas decision that the PM announced earlier this week, do you think that the Conservative Party, which is obviously trailing pretty badly in the polls, I don't know, 15, 20 points behind Labour, do you think they've scented a political opportunity in being the party that is not so committed to green issues anymore, and maybe make it, you know, it's great for parties to have bogeymen, like, you know, to maybe make some green protesters and green organisations ones they can have a pop at? Because I sort of think it does seem quite provocative that they would blacklist them from meetings and publicise that fact.
Well, it actually goes further than that. They pick up all sorts of... I do not read it. I'm an intelligent person. I'm a graduate of Edinburgh University in 2 degrees and all sorts of things like that. But the government seems to sort of pick on things to divert away from their own problems and their own troubles. And that is one thing they are good at. They're not good at running the country. And I mean, I cannot believe... Well, I laughed. I'm sorry to say this. I actually was making my dinner. I live alone. I was making my dinner through the kitchen when it came over that Sunak had actually given out. He's going to give out 100 licences because. Why
was it funny, Derek?
Because
you thought it was desperate. Yeah.
You know, and the other thing is, and this is another thing that's not been taught, you know, the carbon capture that they're going to do up north of Scotland, they were going to do a carbon capture off the coast of the east of Scotland, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And the government of Scotland said, this is a great idea, we'll put it there. And it was turned down.
Sorry, Claire, I was just filling out the Greenpeace form to sign up. Sorry, I'll step away and just speak to you.
Why have they... So you're just signing up now as a new member, are you?
Yeah, I'm just signing up.
What's compelled you to do that?
I've just rang in because in response to Neil Hamilton and the lady talking about, you're invading somebody's privacy. The thing is with Rishi, he doesn't care about the environment. He doesn't care about climate change. He doesn't care. The reason he doesn't care, it's because he cares about money. So you've got two schools of thought. Neil Hamilton cares about money. So when he said left wing, I mean, there's no left and right. So either you care about things or you don't. So,
well, we all
Rishi
care
Sunak
about
cares
money.
about money.
To be fair, Han, we all care about money. He's caught, he would probably argue, between competing priorities. And one is economic growth and also ensuring that people who are suffering a cost of living crisis don't suffer further. And the other is making adequate provisions to deal with the climate crisis. So I think he would probably say, look, I've got to balance these competing priorities.
Yeah, well, it's going into his pocket, isn't it?
So are you personally very frightened about what's happening with the climate? What do you think?
I do care. I care more now than I did about a year ago, 2 years ago. I care a lot more now.
And do you think that's partly because of the actions of protesters raising the profile of this issue?
Well, I don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference. You get Conservatives out and Labour come in, and they're going to be exactly the same. The agenda is control. Let's get that right. They want to control the protesters. They don't want people to actually shout about what they think is right or wrong. You've just got to follow. We're going to tell you what to do. In fact, we're going to ask you to jump, and you're going to ask how high.